Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I'm going to be doing a Q&A. I just recently did my 5K YouTube giveaway, and I had a lot of people ask questions in response to a question that I posed in that video. And so I just wanted to take a minute and respond. Some of the questions are more personal, and some of the questions are more professionally driven. So I'm gonna kind of do both sides. I'm gonna be as honest as I can. And please forgive me if I totally botch your name. I am not trying to. I may end up just spelling some of the names because some of them are pretty unique. So anyways, we're gonna go ahead and jump in. Hey guys, welcome back. So I'm going to be reading questions off of my phone. I basically just took all the questions from that video and from a couple other videos that I've had questions on, and I made this list, and so I'm just going to jump right in. Heather Bates says, my son is 2 and I like to challenge him a little more than his level because he is so smart. Is this a bad idea to challenge him ahead of his age? You know, this is a great question because this is actually something that we as teachers deal with too in the classroom. Sometimes you'll get a student who is very, very smart and you can give that child work different than other children because they've reached or attained a level of proficiency that another child in the class has not. And so I would just say whatever level your son is at, yeah, push him. I wouldn't push him, you know, past what he can handle, but it's not a bad thing to push him. I mean, if he is a smart kiddo, expose him to, you know, the things that he loves to do. And that's what I did with my kiddos. Both of my sons were very different. One of my sons really enjoys reading, the other one does not. And so with the son who enjoyed reading, I really just took that and ran with it. And I would read with him. We read all the time. So with my other son was kind of high energy and hands-on. And so we would do a lot of hands-on activities, building with Legos and creating things, doing things in the kitchen, recipes and things like that. So you just have to kind of know your kid, and I don't think it's a bad thing to push him. Awesome Girl asked what grade I teach. So currently I am co-teaching kindergarten with another teacher, and then I'm teaching a creative writing class to a 3rd and 4th grade class. Love Forever asked, what's one thing you dislike about teaching and what's one thing that you like about teaching? Ooh, this is a good one. Okay, so I'm gonna start with what I like about teaching. My favorite thing about teaching is when you are teaching a concept and you can just see in the children's eyes and the students' eyes their little aha moment, like when they get it, when they understand it. And as a teacher, there is no greater satisfaction than seeing your students get it, you know, it clicks for them. So I think that is one of my most favorite things about teaching. One thing that I dislike about teaching is the lack of restroom breaks. Sometimes in the beginning of the year, there is this whole training process of you have to kind of train yourself to I'm sorry if this is TMI, you kind of have to train your body to use the restroom during certain times of the day. So, you know, before school starts, during your lunch, and after school, it's kind of the only times that you get, or if you have, you know, TAs or breaks in the day where your kids go to specials or something and you can sneak in to use the restroom, that's wonderful. But I would say that that's probably my least favorite thing is the lack of restroom breaks. All right, so Saima, I'm sorry, I'm gonna botch your name, Fawad, F-A-W-A-D. Love your videos. As a viewer from the UK, I'm just curious to know, does your school give you funds to purchase things for your classroom? We don't have that in the UK, so interested in how it's different overseas. That's a great question, and I just did a video on this. I kind of go in depth about how this works, but I'll just kind of briefly answer that here. So in the United States, there's a variety of different types of schools. You've got public, you've got private, there's so many different charter, there's homeschoolers, and so I can speak from the perspective of a private school teacher because I teach at a private school. Our private school, we are not state funded. So public schools are state funded from my understanding, and then you can apply for certain grants and scholarships and things like that through a public sector. Private school is a little bit different. So to get money, the school is funded by those who attend it. And so typically tuition is more because we are an all-in-one school. We don't get money from the state. So the school provides everything that we need in our classroom. And then if we want anything outside of the needs, like if I want some seat crates or some decor or something like that, or some buzzers for classroom, whatever it is, you know, the school, we can create a wish list for the school, and then we give that to them. And if there are funds, in addition to providing our needs, then they will buy things off of our wish list for us. So, but I go into a little bit more detail too, because there's times where you have to apply for, you know, grants through different organizations or local businesses. I've had some success with that. And if you want to check that video out, I will link it down below just so that you can get maybe a better understanding of how we do it in the United States. Thank you so much for that question. Hello over in the UK. Mad Mommy says, what do you use to create the beginning of your videos and your videos in general? It's like, what software? Love your videos. Thanks, Mad Mommy. So I use Adobe Premiere Pro to edit all of my videos. I'm assuming that you're talking about the logo sting, that little, the Kinderhearted Classroom, the little animated Kinderhearted Classroom that pops up. I'm assuming you're talking about that. And that is my logo. I created that logo, and then I sent it off. I vectorized it and sent it off to somebody on Fiverr. Fiverr is a website that you can go to and basically hire independent contractors. I don't know if that's the word, independent workers, to create things for you. So you can do logo designs or animations. They do a lot of different stuff. So I found a guy on Fiverr, and he animated the logo for me, sent it back to me. I loved it. I didn't even have any edits to send back to him, and then I put music to it. So that was kind of the process. So I think that's what you're talking about. All right, Jasmine, I'm sorry, I'm going to botch your name. Sidhu, S-I-D-H-U. How old were you when you decided to be a teacher? That's a great question, because I took forever to decide that I wanted to be a teacher. I have had so many jobs, and I'm so thankful that I was in a place in my life to have the support that I needed to be able to kind of meander through jobs, because it took me so long to really come to this is my passion, this is what I love to do. Along the way, I was able to pick up some really great skills because I tinkered around in photography and videography. There's so many different things that I tinkered around in that really kind of equipped me to do what I'm doing today, and helped me really develop the skills that I needed to be a good teacher. Not that I'm like a awesome teacher, but they've definitely helped me, like even with organization and the tech side of things, those things have definitely helped me. It took me years to really settle on the fact that this is what I wanted to do. Several years ago, I taught at a high school level. I taught a journalism class at a high school level for 2 years, and I did love that. However, I wouldn't say that that was my passion. I really loved photography and videography, and that's why I was, I think, offered that job. However, I just, after teaching that, you know, that grade level, it wasn't that the students were bad or anything. It was just relatability wise, I feel like I can relate to kindergartners better. Maybe it's because I don't know why it is. Then we got pregnant, and I had my two little ones. They're not twins, but they're different ages. But there were several years where I was kind of part-time mommy, staying at home. And after I had my kids, it was like an entire new world was open to me as far as perspective, because all of a sudden I had this perspective on what a parent's view was on a child, and I felt like there was just a whole lot more understanding and patience with the little ones. And then I really just from there started to kind of like, I really just started to pray about it and really felt like I was supposed to go into early childhood education as a profession. And so that's what I did. And so that's where I'm at now. All right, Carly LaBelle. I recently found your channel and I absolutely love it. I'm going into my junior year of college studying ECE, early childhood education. My question for your Q&A would be, what advice can you give a student beginning the journey of working in a classroom and implementing a lesson plan for the first time? Please help, because I'm very excited but very nervous as well. Carly, oh my goodness. When I first started working with kids, I was actually volunteering at my local church, and they needed somebody to help volunteer in the children's church. And Carly, I was so afraid. Like, I was afraid. I literally remember being asked to give a lesson to the children, and I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna say. I don't even know how to talk to a little one. What am I gonna say? I don't think they're gonna, I was so nervous. And so I remember calling the director, the children's director, and asking her if I could have a meeting with her. And she gave me some really solid advice. This is what she said. She said, Elizabeth, I recommend that you not only practice at home, but you go and enroll in a public speaking class. A lot of what is involved in teaching is actually public speaking. And so being a proficient public speaker is very important. And so I went and enrolled in a public speaking class, and the professor I had was so funny, so hilarious, so sweet. And he really helped guide me. And it was so good for me because then I basically took the skills and the things that I learned in that public speaking class and I applied it to that children's ministry. So then I basically learned how to create an outline, create, you know, like in the classroom, create kind of what you're teaching, like a lesson plan. And it worked out really well. So I recommend doing that. And then the second thing that I recommend is going and volunteering in as many child-oriented places as you can. Get involved with kids wherever you can. And you know, volunteers are such a blessing. Whenever they come into the classroom as a teacher, I am so thankful. And so, you know, paying it forward, because one day you'll be in the classroom and you'll have volunteers that come in, and so it's that whole paying it forward and stuff. So anyways, those are my 2 tips for you. Thank you for your question. Positively Pre-K. If you were to teach an in-service/professional development class to the teachers at your school, what would your class be about and why? Oh man, you know, it's funny because I am so underqualified. I don't even feel like I would be worthy enough to teach a class. But if I were forced to teach a class, I would probably teach something depending on the audience. So if I only had primary teachers as my audience, teachers who teach like K through 6th grade, I would probably talk about the importance of play in your classroom, because that is something that I feel like some educators miss. I feel like there's this huge push for worksheets and there's this lack of hands-on activity, and my methodology in teaching really revolves around hands-on activities. And so I would probably push something like plays pedagogy, something like that in a PD. But if I were in a K through 12th grade span, like the audience was K through 12th grade teachers, I would probably talk about something technology oriented. Our school is 1-to-1. All students K through 12th grade either have a tablet or a Chromebook. And so I would probably talk about the importance of infusing technology in the classroom. I would also probably give some resources on how to do that. We use technology a ton in our classroom. All of our students use tablets, and there are so many wonderful resources. I think sometimes people have this misunderstanding of technology and think that it is a hindrance to students and to the classroom, when technology can bring so much depth to your classroom. And so that's just something that I absolutely love to use in the classroom, and I would probably talk about that if I had an audience that was K through 12th grade teachers. Amanda Harris says, you make wonderful videos and clearly are a very passionate teacher. Thank you, Amanda. I'm wondering if you create portfolios for student work. I'm looking into possibilities for my upper elementary students. Thanks for sharing your world. Oh, very sweet. So Amanda, we use technology a lot in our classroom, and we basically digitize everything and create portfolios that way. Now I know in 7th through 12th grade, they actually do all of their stuff in the Google Classroom, so they'll take pictures and that kind of thing. We will sometimes use graphic organizers on the tablets, taking pictures of the work and putting it onto a graphic organizer. But we also use an app called Brightwheel, and if you haven't heard of this app, I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful app that you can use with the parents, in conjunction with the parents, where you can send pictures like real time. So if you take a picture and upload it to the student's profile, that picture gets texted to the parent's phone. And so it's a wonderful way to connect the parent to the student. like immediately. They almost get like a real-time feel of what is going on in their child's life, in their child's world in the classroom. And that's wonderful because there's a lot of full-time working parents and parents, for example, who want to come in to volunteer, but they just work during the day. And it breaks my heart to see that because I think as teachers sometimes too, this is just a little rabbit trail, but I think as teachers sometimes too, we feel like, man, why don't they volunteer more? And there are parents who work hard to provide for their family and provide for their kids, and they want to be in the classroom and they want to help, but time just does not allow for it. And so having an app that connects the parent to the student immediately so they see real time in the classroom is wonderful. And then that basically builds a portfolio for the students, because it's like it's almost like similar to a Facebook feed where the parent would scroll and can see real time what their child has been doing over the school year. Rebecca Felstead, and I probably pronounced your last name wrong, I'm sorry. She says, how would you go about teaching a child with a very short attention span? I want to start preschool with my daughter and it's hard to keep her focused for more than a minute and I feel like I'm not teaching her anything. Oh man, Rebecca, you know, this is just my personal opinion, and I have two very high energy little boys and there's nothing wrong with that. I felt like as a new mom when I first had my oldest son, I felt like at times like, well man, he should be able to sit down and focus, but I just really honestly over the months I just embraced that that's who he was, and so I just tried to really create an environment for him that would allow him to express himself that way. So he's very musical, he's very high energy, and he loves hands-on. He loves building and figuring things out. So we have a lot of Legos, we sing a lot of songs, and we talk a lot. He's very conversational. So like when we're in the car, we play I Spy all the time. I spy with my little eye a big red A. Do you see it anywhere? And so we'll talk on that level a lot. And so really, I don't think of teaching preschool as more like sit down activities, like carpet time. I see preschool when your little one is at home with you, and this is kind of what I did. I really see it as our life is about learning. Hello? Love you too. Well, I love singing with you, so. Oh, stop it. Felt like I was singing with a celebrity. Love you. Okay, see ya. Bye. Sorry. My neighbor just decided to start blowing their leaves, so I'm sorry if there's a little bit of sound in the background. I would just say that we have tried to incorporate learning in our life. So for example, if you can incorporate the loves that your child has, the things that your child loves to do. So you said that your daughter has a very short attention span, and that's okay. You know, moving from one thing to the other, that's not necessarily a bad thing. What we try to do is really just incorporate learning in the kids' lives. So we will sing songs in the car. I have a YouTube playlist that I've created of like educational preschool songs, and a lot of times we'll play that on rotation throughout the day, like ABC songs, number songs, and I can't tell you how, even if my son is playing with a toy, if that song is on, he picks up on it. I have a 3-year-old, and my 3-year-old at 2 years old could spell his name, not because I sat down and worked with him every single day. It was because we made it fun. We would get Play-Doh out and we would make Play-Doh letters with his name. We would sing songs to his name, that kind of thing. I hope that helps. I don't know if it does. All right, so next question. Melissa Knitter says, I'm not a teacher, but I am a parent, and I'm loving all your ideas and finding ways to apply them at home to reinforce what my son is learning in pre-K. What ideas do you have for in-home learning for parents? Melissa, your question really ties in with Rebecca's. I would just say incorporate learning in your everyday life. There are so many lessons that your little one learns just from your own example. I'll give you an example. My oldest son, when he was about 2.5, almost 3 years old, I was counting with him, we'd count with him, I'd read to him all the time. But he's really high energy, just normally, and I was the same way. I was totally that way as a kid. I hated sitting down. I would not sit down at carpet down. It just was not, I was so high energy and so mobile all the time. But I noticed that whenever I was in the kitchen cooking, my son would always be at my side. And I'm like, I just took a second to step back and one day and just thought, why don't I incorporate him in meal planning and meal prepping? And so I got him a little stool and I gave him a butter knife and I peeled a cucumber and I put it in front of him and I said, hey buddy, you're gonna help me prepare the food. You wanna help me cut? And so he got his little butter knife and he would cut the cucumber and he loved it. At 3 years old, he loved it. He would ask to help meal prep. Every time I'd come home from grocery store on Saturday, he would be so excited to help stand on the little stool and help cut the cucumber. And then we would count, 3 pieces in each little baggie. Okay, zip that one up. That's 1. We'd do another 1, 2, 3. And so we would practice counting. He'd practice his fine motor skills. He would also feel like he is giving to the family as a unit. And so it was a wonderful experience, and it's something that we still do today. He still helps food prep, and we've done it ever since he was 2.5. So I would just say, incorporate learning in every aspect of your life. Whether you're in the car, you're playing I Spy, you're looking at colors, you're constantly talking about, even in the grocery store, engaging your children in the grocery store. My 6-year-old is just now starting to not only talk about time, so we got him a watch, an analog watch, but he's also talking about money and prices. So like prices of things. So when we're in the grocery store, I'll say, hey buddy, come over here. What price is this? Is this a good price? And we start talking about that. I would just say that's my tip for you, is just don't think of learning as this 20-minute segment in the day. Think of learning as whatever we're doing in the day. Incorporate your kids in whatever you're doing. And then they just soak it up. My kids soak it up. That's all the questions that I got for today's video. I appreciate all of you who participated. Your support, your comments, and your thumbs up on videos really means the world to me. I can't even tell you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. I am going to go ahead and sign off, and I've linked all of my social media down below, so if you'd like to subscribe or follow, feel free to do that. I would love to connect with you. So I will see you in the next video. Thanks guys. Bye.